Welcome back, college football fans, to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. This is my reaction and recap to the Black Friday contest that happened inside Kinnick Stadium between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the visiting Nebraska Cornhuskers. I'm your usual host, Blair Parks. Welcome to all of you college football fans, especially my fellow Hawkeye fans and Nebraska fans. All of you are always welcome here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. And before I say any more, I would like to just say thank you for your continued support, your time, your attention for the channel. And remember, you, the college football fan, my fellow college football brothers and sisters, you are the ones who drive these episodes. So as always, I always encourage, welcome, and ask for your involvement via the comments. So please, get involved, light up that comment section below, and I will get back to each and every one of you much sooner than later individually via the comment section. Please like, share, comment, as I said, subscribe, rate, and thank you for what you do for the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Now, normally, if you have watched my reaction and recap episodes previously, after my intro, then I will usually would give you a overview of how the contest went, what the score was, and then would update you on the records of both participants. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to share some other stats and numbers with you first, just to try to make sense of what we saw unfold Friday night between these two rivals. And please, Nebraska fans, I'm glad you're here. I want to hear from you, but I've got to warn you. I do have some very tough things to say this morning. I just do, because I have thought about it. I've reflected about this game more and where this annual matchup is going. So please, I can't wait to hear from you. Please get involved. I don't mean any disrespect, but I call it as I see it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into some of these numbers I want to share with you first. Let's go ahead and start. We've got Team A versus Team B. All right, Team A, total first downs in this contest, 20 for Team A compared to 5 for Team B. Very one-sided there. Third down efficiency goes along with total first downs. They go hand in hand. Team A was 8 for 17, not too bad, while Team B, a big fat donut, 0 for 10 on third downs. So obviously no contest there with that category. Total yards, Team A, 334 total yards compared to Team B's 164, basically doubled up total yards did Team A compared to B. You see where this is going? This is completely one-sided. When you look at these two teams' stats post-game, let's see, passing yards, Team A, 190 yards total passing to Team B's 115. So not a huge discrepancy there, but still, also won by Team A. Let's see, we've got rushing yards, which this is the big one. Team A, 144 yards rushing on the ground compared to Team B's 49 yards rushing total for the game. And the big one, time of possession. Team A had the ball for 39 minutes and 1 second. So let's say 39 minutes for Team A compared to Team B's 20.59, so 21 minutes. So time of possession, 39 minutes to 21. But, so you would say right now that Team A is going to win this contest 9 out of 10 times, maybe even 10 out of 10, right? Right? The answer is no, because the biggest number that really matters is the final score. Team A with 10 points, Team B with 13. And that was the final score inside Kinnick Stadium. Iowa wins 13-10 over Nebraska. With the victory, Iowa improves to 8-4 overall, while Nebraska falls to 6-6 overall. And also with the victory, Iowa retains the Heroes Trophy that these two teams play for on Black Friday. So it will remain in Iowa City for at least one more season. Now, before I get to breaking down the game, and I always point out the good and the bad for each team, all right? But I'm just going to go ahead and drop this on you a little bit, okay? This is a rivalry game, all right? But as a Hawkeye fan, the more and more that I invest in this channel, I've had the opportunity to converse with more Nebraska fans. I mean, I've gone to a couple of the Black Friday contests recently, and I just still don't understand the hatred. And I usually don't use that term, all right? I don't. I mean, my kids, when they say, I hate going to school, or I hate this, I tell them that's a very strong word. You can say dislike. But have got caught up in noticing the hatred that most Nebraska fans have for us Iowa fans or our program. And I don't really understand it. This was a forced upon us rivalry by the Big Ten administration when Nebraska joined the conference in 2011, I think is when Nebraska joined, something like that. Let me just check. 2011. So this was forced upon us, all right? We didn't ask for it, but it makes sense. Welcome to the conference. We need to get you an annual rival. It's good for the fans. It's good for the programs. I get it. They're border states, so it makes sense. But as an Iowa fan, we had our rivals already. We have, within conference, Minnesota and Wisconsin. A lot of history there, a lot of heated moments, right? And also the yearly in-state rivalry game, the Cy-Hawk Trophy with Iowa State. But hey, we welcome this made-up, forced-upon-us rivalry. Why not? But the truth is this is not a rivalry game, okay? I mean, these two teams now have played, I believe, 14 times since Nebraska joined the conference, and Iowa has won 10 of those compared to the 4 won by Nebraska. And within that, Iowa has won 9 of the last 10. To be a rival, you occasionally have to win. Maybe not every year, but every other year, every third year. To be considered a rivalry in Nebraska, it's just not happening. Okay, it's not. And I think I understand why this is. Okay, why Nebraska continues to struggle to win games like this. And I'm happy for the Nebraska program and their fans. I mean, one of the most loyal fan bases, a lot of passion. I love that. I've seen it and I've heard it, okay? So for them to get to 6 wins, to get back to postseason after that long postseason drought going back to 2016, I'm happy for you. That's tough to be a fan. I mean, if Iowa had to go through that kind of drought, it would be difficult for all of us. So I'm glad that's happening for you, because the better you are, the better the Big Ten Conference is overall. It is. It's better for us. But getting back to this game, it is not a rivalry game. And overall, since you joined the Big Ten, Nebraska, you have done nothing to elevate this conference. You haven't. All right? And here's what I think the problem is. All right, and I love me some Coach Matt Rule. I said this 2 years ago, preseason, on this channel, that not only did Nebraska win signing day, they also won signing day moving forward, saying, hey, they just didn't go out and find a very, very sexy name to be their head coach. Matt Rule is a proven winner. And quite frankly, if Kirk Ferentz wants to hang it up, I would be okay with seeing Matt Rule, strolling up and down the Iowa sideline. I would. He's a proven winner at all levels, all right? And I think he will get this program back. I mean, they've already made progress. So they're going to the postseason, all right? But this is the problem with the Nebraska program, all right? Yes, how this game went down Friday night, it was the most typical Iowa victory that we've ever seen. I mean, you look it up in Webster's dictionary, that's exactly how Iowa won this game, all right? And it's also the typical way that Nebraska continues to lose games like this. And it comes down to one thing. It's culture, all right? The culture, it still has not been completely removed or exercised or vented out. There is such a poor culture within the Nebraska program. Scott Frost and before him, Mike Riley, for the better part of the last 2 decades, okay? There has just been something that is so entrenched within that locker room, within that program, that Matt Rule needs to fix that first, all right? It is. But the thing on Friday night, and Nebraska fans, please get involved. I can't wait to hear from you. You need to help this, because what I saw, I did not see this during the pre-kickoff ceremonies, but now it has been reported. We've seen the videos for what the Nebraska captains did when they meet at the 50-yard line and they refuse to extend their hands to say good game, welcome, best of luck. When they refuse to do that to the Iowa captains, how pathetic was that? And if you're a Nebraska fan, and if you don't think that way and say, wow, if you don't share my sentiment that it was pathetic, it was disgusting, disrespectful to the game, and I'm a coach of young student athletes. I am a basketball coach for my son's 7th grade basketball team. I've coached him for many, many seasons now. I've been coaching my daughter's softball teams for many, many seasons. And to see that happen, when you are there to set a good example and you don't, the sportsmanship side of that, for Nebraska, for them not to do that, it was pathetic. And it was. And that falls directly on the coaching staff. That reflects the character and the mindset of your coaching staff. And for some of you fans, this also reflects you. It does. So right now, the amount of money that you're paying Coach Matt Rule to coach your team, all right, you should demand way more of him compared to what we saw. And for some of you who believe, oh, that's just a part of the game, Blair, it's a rivalry game, get over it, then guess what? You're also the problem with this culture. You are enabling it to continue. So right now, Iowa or Nebraska, you should not feel bad about losing this game. Yes, some of the big plays and the ball, they just bounced Iowa's way. There's no harm in the loss that happened, right? But how it happened with that poor culture, you should be demanding and expecting more from your program and its coaches. So I ask you, what are you going to do about it? All right? And I know if you are the loyal, passionate fan base that I know you are, Nebraska fans, you need to be calling Coach Rule and his coaching staff to the carpet for what we saw unfold. It was embarrassing. You're better than that. All right? And it's a terrible look for college football, for sportsmanship, respect, everything. It was pathetic. Woo! Now I feel better. I got it off my chest. I want to hear what all of you have to say about that. I mean, the culture is still, the poor culture is still there. He's got to get rid of it. To move on, you've got to cleanse this, all right? We saw it at Florida State as well. When Jimbo Fisher left, it took a couple coaches a little bit of time to wipe that, cleanse that palate and start over again. It takes some time, all right? But I am happy that you're back to the postseason, all right? Anyway, back to the game itself, all right? You know, what it came down to was just the big plays. I already shared with you the stats, Team A being Nebraska, how it was so one-sided. I mean, this is one of those games that I'm trying to still connect the dots. I mean, not only seeing it play out on the field as I saw it, but when you look at the stats, which don't lie, it just doesn't make sense how Iowa won this game. It doesn't. It just doesn't. But I think it comes down to, once again, the strong culture within the Iowa program that Nebraska is still trying to establish there, all right? Now, the good things that I saw, and it really came down to just the 2 turnovers that Nebraska committed compared to 0 for Iowa. That was the big difference right there. One of those happened on a muffed punt. Iowa recovered inside the Nebraska 10-yard line, only settled for a field goal. And then we saw with 20 seconds left, Max Llewellyn gets the strip sack, recovers, and then Iowa kicks the walk-off field goal to win 13-10. So it just came down to who was going to play the cleanest football. All right. And that's what we've seen in this game each and every year. It's always so close. It's always going to be a one possession outcome either way. It just is. All right. And also the other things is special teams. I mean, special teams, that's what it also came down to. I already mentioned the muffed punt recovered by Iowa for Nebraska, but their field goal kicker missed one of 2 field goal attempts when Iowa, Drew Stevens, was 2 for 2. That was also the deciding factor. All right. And Nebraska's special teams, they've struggled with that for many a season. They've got to get that addressed. All right. You must be sound in your kicking game. You must. All right. Now, the good that I saw for Nebraska, pardon me, I'm kind of nursing a head cold here still. And by the way, I hope all you and yours had a great Thanksgiving Turkey Day holiday. Hope you're enjoying your weekend, and what a rivalry weekend we saw unfold. But the Nebraska rushing attack, I was very impressed with both of these individuals, with Johnson, with Emmett Johnson, tallied 71 yards, averaging just under 4 yards per carry, and his partner in the backfield, Dante Dowdell, finished up with 50 yards rushing, just under 4 yards per rushing attempt as well. I think these two guys moving forward, they are playmakers. And I was very impressed by their ability to break down that Iowa defensive line and that upper echelon senior-laced linebacker core for Iowa. I mean, the rushing attack really kept them in this game, all right? Their defense definitely stepped up. I mean, it was difficult already for Iowa's offense with Jackson Stratton, the former fourth-string walk-on quarterback, making his second career start. Yes, he won last week, 2 weeks ago, very easy fashion against Maryland, but the quality of team that Maryland is, compared to Nebraska, there is no comparison, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, Nebraska has a lot of playmakers on the defense. They are very solid. I was very impressed watching them. And Iowa had basically zero momentum through their passing game. They made it very difficult for Iowa all night to get anything going through the air. And Iowa fans, how many times have we heard that? Or seen that, okay? Maybe we should be used to it by now, I guess, all right? But, so the rushing attack, the Nebraska defense, and they have a lot of these dudes back next year. And next year, this game is in Lincoln. Nebraska probably is going to win, but they at least should win this game. When you look at what we know that's coming back on paper, now, yes, some of that could change via the transfer portal. You're going to have dudes transfer out. You're going to bring in more people. But next year, Nebraska, for what they have coming back that we know of at this point, and what Iowa is losing, they should win this game next year. Dylan Raiola, their stud freshman quarterback, he had a very good freshman season, his first year on campus. Started all 12 games, and yes, there was going to be some good, bad, and ugly, all right? And there was. It's a learning curve being a true freshman, but he's only going to get better, all right? And he won them some games, but he definitely put them in bad situations because of his lack of experience and his decision-making. But would I much rather have him on the Iowa staff on the roster next year? Absolutely, I would, compared to what we're going to have. So I think they're in good hands. And all these rumors right now that he's going to transfer out, I don't see that happening. Nebraska fans, let me know what you think. His dad was a star there in Lincoln. I don't see Dylan Raiola transferring out. I just don't. I think that's just chatter. All right, that's just a lot of hot air, I believe. You're still nothing but a hot air and a badge, from the Untouchables when Al Capone said that to Kevin Costner. Now, I already mentioned the bad for Nebraska. The good for Iowa was just their defense kept them in this game. I mean, Ethan Hurkett and Max Llewellyn were all over the place. I believe they both registered 2 sacks on the night. Ethan Hurkett with 2 and Max Llewellyn 1 sack. But Max Llewellyn had the play of the game, that strip sack. Like I already mentioned, that set Iowa up for that game-winning field goal. I mean, 4 sacks on the night for Iowa's defense compared to 1 for Nebraska. The typical bend but don't break. But they were having a lot of too much success through the air. And I've said this the entire season, and even preseason we saw this, that Iowa's weakness was that defensive secondary. And it really has lingered the entire year. But hopefully moving forward, they're going to have time off to fix it, but before the bowl game and moving into next season. I think they definitely need to upgrade that defensive backfield. I mean, it has to be more sound and more Iowa-like, the way we've gotten used to or spoiled, I suppose, over the last 4 or 5 seasons. All right? Now, I already mentioned Jackson Stratton, his numbers, 8 of 15, 115 yards. He did have that 1 touchdown pass. Dylan Rayola's numbers, sorry, I did not share them with you. He was 22 of 32, 190 yards, no touchdowns, but no interceptions. And the other play of the game was that touchdown reception by Caleb Johnson, Iowa's absolute stud, their bell cow running back, who is going to be an All-American. He's going to be first team All-Big Ten. He's going to go to the NFL. I hope he doesn't, but I want the guy to get paid. He could come back for 1 more year in Iowa. That would be excellent. But we all know the shelf life of running backs is so low and slight that he's gone to the NFL, and best of luck to him. He found nothing on the ground. I mean, that Nebraska defense, they knew what Iowa was going to do. They're going to pound the rock, give it to their racehorse, body blow us, try to put us into submission, and they never backed down. Once again, I was very, very impressed by the Nebraska defense. Overall, Caleb Johnson only rushed for 45 yards on 17 attempts, good for only 2.5 yards per carry. But the other play of the game was this touchdown catch. It was basically just a little check down to Caleb Johnson, a swing pass out of the backfield, and he just basically, it was a man's play among men. I mean, he's had so many highlights this year to where you're asking yourself, how did he get out of that tackle? How did he make 3 or 4 guys miss? He basically just runs over people and runs through. And that's exactly what he did with this 72-yard touchdown reception. I mean, making Nebraska defenders miss and then getting out of arm tackles. It was most impressive. I mean, the guy has been an absolute beast. He is a special player, and he will be missed. There's absolutely. All right. So, and kudos to Iowa's special teams. I already said Drew Stevens, 2 of 2 on field goal attempts. Also, obviously, made that extra point attempt. No muff punts, no conundrums with the punt unit. So, excellent job with that. And it's always going to be uber important in these sort of matchups. All right. So, where do we go from here? Well, we need to wait a whole week to see what the bowl destinations are for both Nebraska and Iowa. I have a feeling Iowa is going to end up someplace in Florida. Nebraska maybe in Music City for the Music City Bowl, but we'll have to wait and see. Wait and see that selection process, and I can't wait till next Sunday, Selection Sunday, when we get to see the teams in the first year of the inaugural expanded 12-team playoff, and where our favorite teams are going to go bowling at their exotic, hopefully exotic locations. I mean, Nebraska may end up going to exotic Detroit to play at Ford Field, but we'll have to wait and see. All right. So that's where we go from here. A lot of questions coming up in the offseason for both of these squads. And, you know, I'm trying to keep this very low, even keel, because I am someone, I'm not a Homer Simpson. I'm a very objective and subjective fan, all right? but I just don't understand the hatred between these two programs. I just don't. I never have. I don't think maybe I ever will. All right. But I will say this, one of the people that I want to give a big shout out to, there's a channel here called Corn Nation with John Johnston. I love watching him. He's right to the point. He's lewd, he's crude, but he's brutally honest. And I love that when fans will say exactly, hey, this is who we are, this is who we are not. So I love watching his post-game recaps after Nebraska games. Check him out. I think you will absolutely be entertained by John and Corn Nation. But when he said I watched his post-game, and he said, even though we lost this game, moving forward, I would much rather be in Nebraska's shoes as a program than Iowa's. Now, is that something that is so out of right field from a fan perspective? It's not. I mean, yes, as a true fan, you stick by your team through thick and thin. So from a fan perspective, yes, you're not going to jump ship and go from rooting for Big Red and then rooting for Iowa and vice versa. You're not going to do that, all right, because you're a fan. But when it comes down to the continued success, all right, that would be like Iowa fans saying, well, you know what? I'd rather be a Hawkeye fan in our program where we are than be the Ohio State program or Penn State or Oregon. All right? Come on. All right? Iowa's culture is established. It's strong. There is no cracks with that foundation. So when you say, I highly disagree with him saying that he would much rather be Nebraska's program than Iowa's, okay? Especially when you all have lost 9 of the last 10 to the Hawkeyes. I don't get that. That statement makes no sense to me. Okay, when Iowa is in a much better spot. Both of these programs are developmental programs. I know Nebraska fans don't want to hear that because you consider yourself a blue blood, and you are in the far distant past, and a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But right now, you're like Iowa. We are developmental programs. And Iowa winning 8 to 9 games every year in the regular season is well above what you've been doing. So saying you'd rather be Nebraska's programs in a better spot, that's just not true. That doesn't make any sense to me. Please, Nebraska fans, somebody comment. Help make sense of that, all right? Because it just doesn't. I think it's kind of an asinine comment, really. It kind of is. All right, Iowa is a much better program right now and in the recent past than Nebraska is. I mean, stats don't lie. Records don't lie. Head-to-heads don't lie. Postseason bursts don't lie, okay? But anyway, that's it. I really appreciate your time, your support, everything that you do for the channel. Please get involved, like, share, comment below. I can't wait to hear from you, all of my fellow college football fanatics. I will get back to you. It's been an absolute pleasure this season to be with you on the weekly, sharing my love and passion for all things college football with you, because once again, without your support, none of this is possible. So please get involved, comment, like, share, subscribe. Be looking out for me. I will be on air early Monday morning. I will be giving you my updated projected college football playoff rankings post week 14. And of course, those will be officially unveiled on Tuesday evening. So definitely make sure, click on the button to get notifications. You don't want to miss that one. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. Good luck getting back to the norm, back to work, back to school. It's going to take a couple days to get back to reality, I suppose. But until then, thanks for being with me on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. I'll see you Monday. Adios, peace, prosperity, and as always, go Hawks. Bye-bye.